Hey everybody, Andy here, helping you build a career you love. Great to have you. Today we're going to be talking about how to impress the job interviewer in 30 seconds. You're going to have to do that a number of times throughout the interview. I'm going to take you through that. So if you're here with me live, great to have you. Get in the chat, say hi, let me know where you're from, let me know where you're watching this from, what time it is where you are. Put some question marks in front of your questions because we're going to do some Q&A afterward, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Now, what's today all about? Well, we want to be impressive. I'm assuming all of you want that goal. And it becomes a lot easier to do that when you have someone's attention, you're making a connection with them, but you have to impress and keep impressing throughout the entire interview process. And so it can get challenging because there's 5 different phases to the interview. And so what I'd like to do today is teach you how to connect and continue to keep reconnecting throughout the interview process, and also make sure that you're starting off each stage in a way that is really impressive. You really have the interviewer's attention. They're very much looking forward to what you're about to share. So I'll teach you how to do that. It's going to take longer than 30 seconds, or it's going to take longer than 2.5 minutes, certainly to share the science behind all this, but I think we're going to have a lot of fun. So you'll learn how to do that at each stage of the interview process. And if you didn't know there were 5 stages of the interview, you're going to learn that too. So get comfy. Why is this so important? Now, obviously we want to we want to be impressive at each stage in the process, but what being impressive and connecting, getting their attention does is it makes somebody hear what you say differently. And I mean that in a positive way, right? Can you imagine, right? You ever go on a date where you got, those rose-colored glasses because he looks so handsome or she looks so pretty, and everything, it doesn't matter what that's coming out of their mouth. You just think it sounds great. Well, that's kind of it kind of happens, and it's kind of true, and it happens in interviews too. So if you get started on the right foot, you get the benefit of the doubt instead of the detriment of the doubt. So I want to go through how to do that. And it's interesting, I talked in interview intervention. For those of you that have read it, we still have a book package for a couple of bucks. You can get this and a whole bunch of other goodies. But in interview intervention, 10 years ago when this thing was published, I highlighted a kind of five major points to storytelling, and one of them was being able to capture someone's attention, but just because you have it doesn't mean you're going to keep it, and you need to be able to do that. So I started talking about this many years ago, and there are ways to do that. And much like I taught in interview intervention about capturing and keeping their attention, I also talked about how to do that in a resume, or how to get your resume noticed in 5 minutes. And so I was thinking about, is there a way to kind of bring this kind of back to the forefront and maybe give it a new spin? And I was looking at my YouTube channel the other day, and as I often do after we publish any kind of new video, so every Tuesday when one comes out, I always publish a new video on Tuesday, and then normally later on that day or the next couple days, we look at the analytics of the video. And what happened was, I noticed, as I do every single time, that YouTube shows me how the video performed in the first 30 seconds. So it got me thinking, if this is every single time, it's so important for YouTube to help us creators, probably not to mention YouTube knowing what videos it wants to circulate to the people it wants to circulate them to. How is the creator doing in the first 30 seconds? And it's got me thinking about, well, why is that so important? And there's an element to the initial few seconds of a video that somebody watches, especially somebody that doesn't know me or any creator, is, you look at a thumbnail, you see a title of a video, and there is a level of expectation that when I click on that and this dude in a red shirt with a little martini bear is talking to me, I have a certain expectation of what I'm going to hear, and I want there to be some consistency and some excitement and some engagement, all of those things. And I want to get the sense that this person is going to deliver on the promise that they implied, that I inferred from their thumbnail, from their title, from their whatever it is that that person saw. And much like the promises that you make through your resume or through maybe your initial screen with a recruiter, whoever it is, that the interviewer has some expectations, and that first 30 seconds is so important. I thought, let's make a whole talk on that. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do today. And one other thing before I get into the kind of the here's how and what the 5 stages are, I want you to notice that there is a theme to all of the tips I'm going to give you. And when I think about communication and what makes effective communication, especially when you are trying to influence or, in your case, sell yourself in the interview, whenever you're trying to sell something in communication, whether it's an idea, a product, you as a person, you as an employee, there's a couple things you always want to do. There's the priming element and a framing element. I've talked about this many, many times in my leadership program, but I've also talked about it a bit on some of these public YouTube shows where these are proper terms. But priming is where when you start out, where you're trying to move the person who's listening to you, reading your email, reading your letter, reading your copy, or whatever it is, you try to move their emotional state to the place that you want it. And then framing is getting them to look at what you want them to see in the light you want them to see it. So a lot of what you need to do in the first 30 seconds at each stage in the interviewing process is prime them properly to get them in a position of interest, excitement, keeping their attention, level of connection to you. So all of these things I'm about to teach you, I want you to look for that in the tip I'm going to give you. Now, let's get into the here's how, and you're gonna be happy to know I'll probably mention this each time. For every one of these tips, I have more detail on my YouTube channel in a full-fledged video. So, all right, let's get rolling. All right, number 1 is at the hello. That is I turn the camera on, I'm on a Zoomer, or I'm on a Skype interview, or I pick up the phone, hello, or I walk in and I'm in person. That's the first kind of stage where you get the opportunity to greet them and impress them. And one of the things that you want to do in the hello, it depends. We don't always know who we're going to be interviewing with. Sometimes we might have had an introduction to them. Sometimes we might have gotten their background. Sometimes they might have a full digital footprint that we can research. There are many, many variations of who we might be meeting and how well we might know them. But no matter who they are, there's a couple of different things you want to use at your disposal in order to make the connection with them to ultimately impress them. The first one is that you are interested in them. The second one is that you did your homework. And the third one is that you're quick on your feet. Now, some of these you can combine, and some of them you might only have one at your disposal. But essentially, you're looking for ways to, can I show them this? Okay, who's following me right now? Can I show them this? Now, I did, as I mentioned just a few seconds ago, I actually did a video on how to quickly build rapport, or how to build rapport quickly in a job interview. It was about a 16-minute video, of which I'm going to give you about a 3-minute summation right now to give you some tips. And you can certainly go watch that video if you want more. But ultimately, when you want to show that you're interested in them, or that you did your homework, or that you're quick on your feet, there are ways of saying something to them that immediately tries to, where you're trying to bond yourself. So one example is, if you got a referral, maybe you know somebody that knows the interviewer, maybe or maybe even the recruiter said something about the interviewer that you're going to go talk to. And I always like you to say, if you have that at your disposal, hey, I was really looking forward to meeting you. So-and-so said a lot of nice things. Now, you might not always have that luxury, but you might have a situation where you know somebody who knows the person, where you can reference the reputation. Hey, I work with so-and-so over at that company. They mentioned they were a vendor of yours, and while they said they didn't know you personally, they said you got a great reputation around the shop. Something like that. And what you're doing with these examples is most of the time, the person will relax. It is almost done in a disarming manner, where they will become more open and welcoming because you shrunk the world. Now you might say, well, Andy, I don't always know somebody who knows, the person I'm going to be interviewing with. Well, there's no excuse now for not being able to research their background. Most people have some type of digital footprints. They've got their background on LinkedIn. There's something that you can see or find, or maybe even their corporate website. But also you can say the did your homework part is, hey, I was really looking forward to meeting you. I looked you up online. I noticed you've been at the company a long time. I can't wait to ask you what's kept you here. Or, hey, I looked you up. I noticed you recently started. I'm dying to ask you what drew you to the company, because I'm really interested in hearing that about you. Or maybe it's something different. Hey, I noticed you used to work at such and such a company. I can't wait to ask you how this company stole you from that company. Just something that is a little different that connects you with that person. And then you might say, well, Andy, they don't really have a digital footprint. I don't really know a whole lot about them. Well, if you know what it is they do, are you meeting with the chief marketing officer and you happen to be interested in marketing, you're interviewing in marketing, hey, I'd really love to talk with you if we get a chance later in the interview about how you progressed to become the CMO. It's something I aspire to be someday, or something like that. And then the last one is, well, okay, Andy, I don't know anything about the person. The person is a replacement, a substitute for somebody I was going to meet. I don't know who they are. I don't know if I know anybody. I don't know what their title is. I don't even know who they are. Well, then you ask them, hey, I'd love to just understand, who you are and how you fit into this. Get them to introduce themselves and then say something related. Well, that's great because, and then make some connection. It's okay for you to do that, and is certainly okay for you to ask the person to introduce themselves in a manner that lets you understand where they fit in the overall process. So there are ways of building this rapport where you will make a connection with the interviewer right away. This is just the hello part. And I didn't want to go into the whole, smile, right? Have great energy. All of these things I believe you already know, but it really, really matters that you do all the things that you would imagine to make a great first impression. But on top of all of those things, you want to make sure that you are looking for a way in, a way to connect. And I think I might have even told, I'm not exactly sure, I think I might have told this story when I did the how to quickly build rapport with the job interviewer video. But I was working with the COO one time. Her name was Joanna, and she'd been searching for salespeople. And we'd done work with them over the years, and they were trying to find the salesperson on their own. They were really struggling for months. She called me up and she said, hey, I think we really need to tap into you on this. And the first person that I presented to her, his name was Jason. So as I was preparing Jason, I said, Jason, when you talk to Joanna, just, here's how she is, and she's been great, and this and that. And I went on and on about how great a lady she was, and how great a chief she was, and how great a client she was, and all that other stuff. And I said, just make sure you tell her I said so. And so the minute he got on the phone, she said, I picked up the phone. He picked up the phone. He said, hey, Joanna, great to talk to you. Really looking forward to it. Andy said a lot of nice things, so on and so forth. When she and I debriefed after that call, she said, Andy, in the first minute when he picked up hello, I knew this was going to be a good call. And 5 minutes in, I knew I wanted to hire him. And then I spent the next 55 minutes just making sure that, nothing was not what I thought it was going to be, kind of thing. So it really can change the tone of the interview. All right, wait, this is kind of a simple one. All right, this is the easiest one, right? Hopefully people are fresh at the beginning, but I want to camp this piece off with, get comfortable with these expressions. Okay, use them freely. The love part, the I'm interested in, the I can't wait to, I'm dying to ask you, I loved your background, I'll be really interested in asking you about. These are okay to say. You're just saying hello. Okay, so very, very powerful expressions. Get them down cold. All right, next part is, oh my goodness. The next part is where you go from hello to the tell me about yourself. This is another transitional phase of the interview where the interviewer, as you know, I often call them, kind of lazy Susie or lazy Joey, where they start out with, walk me through your resume, tell me a little bit about you, tell me about yourself. Now, I did a whole video, mega video. It might be my favorite favorite session I have with you all year in 2022 on how to introduce yourself in a job interview. So now how to introduce yourself in a job interview is not how to say hello in a job interview. I just gave you how to say hello in a job interview. But how you introduce yourself is the beginning portions where you're actually providing insight about you. There's a huge difference between hi, how are ya, and hi, I'm Andy, I'm a such and such, or I do these things. So what I did in that video is I gave you a 7-piece formula for how to get the most impactful information in your hello in 30 to 60 seconds. So I gave you the exact formula, I gave you the 7 pieces, and I even did 2 case studies where people were with me live, where I pulled up their resume and saw it for the first time and then introduced them to the community, to themselves and to the community. So check out that video, but to give you a summary of what I mean here, the main thrust is you want to pack in as much of the most relevant information about yourself within 30 to 60 seconds. That includes a little something like this, right? I'm Andy. I'm a career coach who helps people find their dream job and thrive in it. I've spent the last 30 years of my professional life and so on, 15 years coaching, whatever it is. And during that time, I've helped X millions of people, blah, blah, this and blah, blah, that, right? What's your roll-up accomplishment? My primary area of focus is helping white-collar professionals internationally and so on, as you can see from my illustrious resume, and then some encapsulating point of whatever it is. I've worked for prominent Fortune 500 companies. I specialize in these kinds of organizations, right? I've generally stayed at my companies for a long period of time. Any kind of noteworthy thing. This entire introduction, of which I've given you all the sentences, if you check out that video on how to introduce yourself in a job interview, in 30 to 60 seconds, you could get this whole introduction in as a lead into how you then will go into more detail, if they want more detail, on you. So this introing of yourself, I guarantee you, unless they've watched and studied my videos, nobody is going to introduce themselves this way. So if you can get this down, and remember, this is something you can practice. You're going to use this at some point in the interview. So this is something you got to have cold. You do this, I guarantee you they will be. That's your thumbnail and title and trailer and everything that says, "Wow, I can't wait to hear them deliver on that and justify and substantiate how they gained all that experience, how they sold that much, how they secured those many new clients, how they broke into this market, how they did what they did." This here is what will build excitement. Believe me. It will sound unique, okay? So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is when you transition into the part where they're asking you questions. So they're actually asking you specific questions that they want you to respond to. What a lot of people tend to do when they get an interview question is they want to go right into, I did step 1, I did step 2, I did step 3, here's the acts I took, here's the results, and that's how I did that. When they're missing the biggest opportunity to sell themselves, and I always want you to start a story with context. Context is king and queen and checkmate, and if you start with steps, I don't understand where you're going, why you did what you did, why it mattered, why it was important, why they called you and not somebody else. I don't have any of that. So it only takes 20 to 30 seconds to give context. So what do I mean by this example? So a lot of you have bullets on your resume that says I implemented the CRM system. I ran the customer support team, right? I opened up a new market. I built this, I did that. And when they say to you, how did you go about doing that? Can you walk me through that? How did you build that system? What a lot of people do is they say, okay, well, the first thing that I did was I put a project plan together And then I tried to find the resources, and then I'm yawning. Okay, right? Then you don't have the person's attention. There's absolutely no excitement. There's no getting on the edge of their seat. But when you say, I was supporting the customer team, I'm so glad you asked me about that. The reason that project was so important was because we noticed a precipitous uptick in the loss of customers, and we couldn't figure out why we weren't able to hold on to our customers. And then as I got in there, I noticed that our customer service reps didn't have access to the information they needed to handle the support calls. The support times were up. The customer retention was down. We were losing more and more customers, which was translating into millions of dollars lost annually. All right, well, this is a big problem. So now I understand, okay, this sounds important. So I also am getting some foreshadowing into what you resolved and what the result was, because you're going to tell me how you fixed it, because you already prefaced it on your resume about how you did something glorious and saved the day and built, raised customer retention and all that other stuff, because it's on your resume, the promise. Right. So when you start with something like that, then you can go into, so the first thing that I basically ran the entire project using the 7 stages that I would normally do any kind of IT project that would address anything, and then you list out the steps, and then you go into the details of the steps. But if you miss the context part, I have, number one, no understanding of how important this is, why it mattered, why I should care about this, why it was so impactful for your company, and I can get a sense of all of that. I can feel that. You want them to feel it right away, right? So a lot of people try to get the interviewer to feel something by saying on their resume, the market was really down. Everybody was underquote. I can't feel that. I don't know that. I don't care. But when I'm in an interview and you're going to explain to me the context around why this mattered so much, I'm going to feel it. I will. But a lot of you start with the step, and I never want you to start with the step. So when you open up your stories, I want you to make sure you get comfortable with, you got to love the cliches, right? It was important because, it mattered because, it was a big deal because, they called me because. You gotta get these down. If you want more on this, I go into more detail. Video's called The Most Powerful Job The Most Powerful Job Interview Tip You'll Ever Get. Okay, so this only takes 20 to 30 seconds, but you gotta paint the picture. Make me feel it, okay? All right, now, what about, 4th stage, when you ask your questions? Now, a lot of times, what happens? Can I get a show of hands in the chat? How many people say, Andy, I hardly get any time to ask my questions. There was 3 minutes at the end of the discussion, and they said, okay, do you have any questions for me? And I'm looking up at the clock, and I see it's about to strike 1. Right? Most of you will not have enough time, but I don't care if they run the whole hour with you just asking your questions, or they give you 3 minutes to ask your questions. When you get to that stage, it's 3 things that matter. It's the question you ask, or let's call it the questions, but remember, we're about 30 seconds. We're about 30 seconds today. It's the first question you ask. It's the way you ask it. But more importantly than that, what's the primer? What's the primer? I'm asking you because you are the person who's best equipped to answer this. You are the person that is best equipped for me to ask. I have a lot of questions, but let me get to the ones that you are best equipped, because you know the most, because you are the HR person who has the best view and understanding of the overall cultural landscape. You are the technologist who knows more about the product line than anybody else. You are the chief capo de capo who should know more about the strategy and where the company's going and what the obstacles are going to be, and so on and so forth. You are the most equipped to answer this. Get this in. Get this in, and then go right into your first question. Now, this is the most important piece for today's talk, is that I need you to focus on making sure you prime them. Do you know how differently everything is going to sound after you tell me I'm the one, right? There is something unique and special about me that you chose this question or this set of questions to ask me, all right? Get this down, and then you want to go into the right kind of question. Maybe let's cover that for a second, because I have a ton of videos on how to ask questions and which questions to be asking organizations now and forever. But when you get into and you say, well, since you're the chief marketing officer, you're the one that's most equipped to give me the best answer related to, from a strategic standpoint, even though I'm a lonely bean, a little pawn in your marketing engine, I'm greatly concerned with, I don't want you to say that, but I'm greatly concerned with how we're going to be able to break into these market lines, or what is your strategy to break into the new market lines, or where are the market lines that you see the most potential, and what do you see as the greatest challenges? And I would love to know that, because I want to know how I can support that and whether I have specific skill sets and knowledge and expertise to make sure that we can get to where you want to go and we want to go as a company, kind of thing. So I want to make sure you get this down, get comfortable with this. I want to ask you these because you are most equipped. Okay, so that's as you transition into the question asking phase. You got to remember, you got to have good questions, right? And you got to have the sequence down. But I probably have more videos on my YouTube channel about how to ask questions in a job interview than I have anything else. Maybe salary negotiation. And then the last one. So when you close it out, right? So all right, so now you're asking your questions. Now you see the clock is ticking, you're getting down to the end, you're going to close this out. I want you to say something that no one else is going to say. Actually, I want you to say two things no one else is going to say. So this might be one in 30 seconds and the next in 30 seconds. The first thing is I have a technique. It's called close, assure, confirm, assure, or reassure, and close. What is this? Let's take this part first. At the close of the interview, you're wrapping up. And when they say, well, do you have any more questions for me? You say, I have a lot more questions, but I know we're running thin on time. So with the minute or two that we have left, there's something I want to make sure I understand and I want to ask you. The first thing is, it sounds like, so I want to confirm my understanding of what you're looking for. It sounds like, based on our discussion, you're looking for somebody who, listed out, can sell this product into new markets, has enterprise sales experience, so list it out, whatever it is. Are we in agreement? Yes, all you did was regurgitate and confirm that that's in fact what they're looking for. Then you say, okay, well, I hope you can see from our discussion that my experience doing, and then echo it, repeat whatever you just said, and I just want you to know that I'm really interested in this opportunity. Based on what I've seen, I really want this job. So you want to reconfirm that you actually know what it is and are interested in the role. You want to give them a little close. And then I want you to transition to the reservations question. Who knows what the reservations question is? So I want to ask you, I want to make sure that we're the right fit for each other. Based on the discussion we just had for the last hour, do you see any reservations in hiring me? Right? I've given you much more detail on this in a video called The Ultimate Question to Ask at the End of a Job Interview. I've given you more information on the confirm, assure, and close technique in interview intervention. That one's written, but the reservation questions is written in the book too, but it's also shot in that video. And the reason that you want to narrow them in on the reservations is because you want to make sure that from a communication standpoint, you don't have any misunderstandings, because those reservations come in one of three forms. They either misunderstood something you said, in which case now you can clarify it, so you take a few extra seconds to set the record straight. Maybe they made an assumption that you didn't have experience, but they made that assumption and they didn't get to ask you if you had that experience, and they made an assumption, or they ran out of time, or they say, well, my reservation is I wish you were more experienced or had some exposure too. Say, oh, I didn't know that was important. Oh, I actually do. So you can clarify it. Or they actually have a reservation that is in fact an accurate assessment and a reservation, in which case you can now dampen it. So I go into more how to handle this in that video, but I want to make sure that you get down these 5 techniques. So I want to recap them here really quick. at the hello, you want to make sure you're using something that connects you to them. And some of the easiest ways for you to connect with them is to show interest in them, or that you did your homework, or that you're quick on your feet. So I gave you some expressions there. And then the other thing I want you to do is, as you get into your introduction, make sure you check this out. Get down your 30 to 60 second introduction where you're encapsulating you in all your glory with the most important and relevant information they need to know at the very highest level. And then when you start your stories, make sure you are starting with context. It only takes 20 to 30 seconds to get that context, but it sets up the whole table, and it foreshadows the outcome, and it foreshadows and gets them excited about it. It'll really, really help you when you're telling your stories. And then when you're asking your questions, make sure you center them in on the ones that you chose were based on them, not you, right? You are the most equipped to answer this. And then the last thing, I want to make sure that you actually confirm, reassure them that you're the right hire, and close them, and then ask the reservations question. I hope you enjoyed that. Yes, I got it in 30 minutes. All right, if you got value out of this, make sure you smash that like button, share this, make sure you subscribe to the channel, send YouTube and me good vibes. And if you're here with me live, we're going to the Q&A. If you're watching this on the recording, I'll see you next week. Hope you enjoyed that. Always love sharing this stuff with you. Always love sharing it. All right, let me go to the chat. Team, how am I doing? Man, I'm living right. You know what? I didn't even practice that, and I got it in 30. I said this is a 30-minute talk. Dang, I'm living right today. Okay. All right. Adam Stark, hey, wait, I thought I saw my boy Varun had a question. It must have been in early, 8:49. Morning, Andy. Hope all's well. Wanted you to know if it makes a difference sending your CV Gmail versus Hotmail. If Hotmail, would it show ageism? Thanks as always, Varun. How are you, my brother from another mother and my Canadian friend? Okay, so this is actually a good question. Meaning, I know some of you might be looking at it like, well, does it really matter? On the one hand, it doesn't. But he asked me a this or that, either or kind of question. But let me just offer up a couple things I would do and not do. He didn't ask all this, but I think all this goes together, and I just love this guy, and so I want to give him and you all a little color. When you send your resume, just do a couple things. I generally recommend, number one, a personal email address. Why do I recommend a personal email address? And I want to add to that, not just a personal email address, but an address that looks like a personal email address. So why do I make such a big deal out of that? Well, if he sent it from his personal email address that was varun@varunpandy.com, that could look like it's a corporate email. And when you send an email, and if I said, Andrew@LaCivita.com, you might be thinking, oh, this guy might be trying to sell me something, especially if the boss hunting subject line says, I'm interested in working with you and your team, or I'm interested in working on your team. I might look at that and say, oh man, this is somebody who's trying to sell me something, delete. Okay? Now, if it says varun@gmail.com, cool. But I would rather it say varunpandy@gmail.com or Hotmail or Yahoo or whatever. I don't think all of that matters as much. I know we kind of laugh when we see AOL.com email addresses or Ameritech.com email addresses, or maybe there's some other older provider in your country. But, I would say I don't think, Gmail or Hotmail matters as much from that standpoint. I will tell you this. Okay, here's probably a little insider info that you guys want. We send hundreds of thousands of emails a week. If you're on my email list, you understand that. Okay, now, every day. We send you an email, which is usually Tuesday and Thursday each week. And then occasionally you get them on Friday from me, and sometimes you even get them on the weekend or whatever. We have the best performance, meaning it goes through, it's acknowledged, whatever, on Gmail. We have the most problems with MSN, live.com, and Hotmail. So basically Microsoft. And occasionally we've had issues with Apple, but we don't normally have issues with Apple. So if I'm choosing a provider, and then one time there was one massive issue with Yahoo, and it had nothing to do with us, and not that you even care about this, we do what's called list hygiene. If you don't open my email for a handful of weeks, we delete you off the list, because we don't ever want to run the risk of being shut down for spam purposes. So that's another thing. I hope you are opening the emails, and even if you're not reading all of them, at least engaging in them in some way. Otherwise we knock you right off. Kara sweeps it every month, first of the month, bang, and you're gone. So I only say that to you because I want to substantiate when I say we have trouble with certain email providers, it's because of the email provider primarily. And just the glitches that they tend to have that we tend to notice as someone who sends a lot of emails. Now, most of you will not have to deal with that issue, but I'm telling you, Gmail performance is better. It has more uptime. We don't have issues with it more than any other platform. So I know that was probably a lot more than you wanted. And then one last thing on that. In your email address, it's better for you to be specific to your name. I would rather it say Varun Pandey 68 at Gmail than I love birds at Gmail, because now I don't have any registry of who that is. And if I'm a recruiter or a boss or somebody, and I say, hey, I remember that guy Varun, I want to, and I type his name, and a lot of times it'll auto populate. Anyway, these are just some little ins and outs and tricks and things to be careful of. Okay, Adam Stark, hello to you. And Donna Morley, my boot camper from Montreal, what's up? Jim Carroll, how you doing? Monday I have a Zoom interview for Assistant President of Curriculum. Awesome. At a community college, interview panel is the VP of Academic Affairs, hiring manager, and 3 other VPs. Nail it. Jim, lots of luck. Can we give Jim a huge live office hours, big high 10, hug, kiss, whatever we do, fist bump, elbow bump, lots of luck. All right. And Adam Stark, I get thrown off balance in interviews. I remember key answer formats, but forget others. I prepare thinking the interview will be one way, and then I get questions I didn't expect. How to deal. It isn't about trying to remember answers. It's remember important pieces of information and outlines, generally speaking. When they ask you a question and they say, how did you do this? Give them the context, give them the steps, and give them the result. If they say, tell me about a time when you did something, give them the context or your philosophy, give them the steps, and give them the result. If they say, Adam, how would you do this? Say, here's my thoughts of how I would package and arrange it. Here's what I would do, and that's it. Right? So don't overcomplicate it. So how to deal with it is by not overcomplicating it in the first place. An ounce of prevention, right, is worth the pound of cure. I would do it that way. Don't try to remember things. Don't try to remember all the details. Try to remember the concepts and the frameworks. Amy Willoughby, what's up? Thanks, Andy. Landed a new full-time perm job too. Start soon. Bye-bye contract work. They love my energy. All your tips were on point. Can we give Amy Willoughby a hey in the chat and a big heart and all that other good stuff? And Medina T, hey Andy, thank you a lot. Started my new job recently. Applied all your teachings. A tip for everyone: if you aren't sure how to answer something during, just think, what would Andy say? Andy would say, don't overcomplicate it. Andy would say, I'm a total badass. Get in there. Because once I tell you this answer and you see me, what do I always say? Once you see me, you can't unsee me, right? You will never be able to unsee me, and you will be so sorry We will be so sorry for all those other people who you were hoping to hire, because now you saw me and we're going to have to say bye-bye to them. All right, what else? Charlene, how you doing? Andy, I'm back for your wisdom and energy. Great to have you. T. Young, knocked the screening out of the park. I love it. Interviewer was impressed. Top 8 to ask if I had 20 questions or 20 seconds. If you're not following me on TikTok, I think that was my first TikTok video ever, right? 8 questions to ask the recruiter, and it only took me 20 seconds to get you all 8 of them. I think the whole TikTok might be 38 seconds because I had to tell you I was going to tell you the 8 in 20 seconds. Oh, awesome. I think that's a YouTube short as well. Love it, man. Love it, love it, love it. Ian, I'm going into an interview I didn't expect. A boss recommending me for a transition from contract to full-time. Awesome. Am in round 2 tomorrow. Do I want this? That's not I'm assuming that's a rhetorical question because I can't tell you what to want or what you should do or what to like. If that suits your requirements that you have put together, I'm sure painstakingly, awesomely, from module 1, session 1, into boot camp, you know what you want. All right. Dave Coburn, hey. There's me. Oh, Christina, how are you? Christina, Valeria, Larry, Kristen, all boot campers. How are y'all? Larry telling me in 3 interviews yesterday following your approach. Funny how I'm not worried about the other boss hunting emails that I never responded. Okay, you need to hear this, folks. So Larry is a beloved boot camper. So he's in my job search coaching program. We call them boot campers because it used to be called the job search boot camp, which it no longer is. Okay, he and I had a session a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about, just being consistent each day and sending out the boss hunting messages and standing his ground because he's got great wisdom and great experience and all kinds of skills, and not to accept things that wouldn't be kind of up to par for him or worthy of him, and he isn't, and I love it. I love it. So you're feeding the funnel. Congratulations. Keep going. Lots of luck. Sending you huge Andy vibes. Can we all give him a high 10 from the Live Office Hours crew? Kristen, good to see you. Gilles, what's up? Andy just had an interview with an internal recruiter. Time box 60 minutes. We stopped at 70. Was very enthusiastic. Good luck, my friend. Good things happen when you join the boot camp. You can see that. Kimberly T. Go Clones? Yes. Everybody knows Andy went to Iowa State University. Graduate in 1988 with a BS and EE. You never know when those are trivia questions. Aylin, how you doing? Super excited to be interviewing for a great job next week. Can we give her, she's an all-around awesome person. As you see, she has many medallions right there. Good luck. Good luck. Me and my Polo Martini Bear are pulling for you. Christina got a question. Had a recruiter screen yesterday for an excellent position and company. Got the proverbial should hear early next week. What is the appropriate day to follow up? Okay, what I really want to say is never, right? Because you want to wait for them to get back to you. But I totally get what you're saying, and I know you want this. So let's go back to what I would recommend, because I think everybody can benefit from this. When you finish an interview, so Christina said, you should hear back next week. So what I would say is, you always want to ask 3 things. What's the next step? By when is that going to happen? And who's going to contact me? I just want to understand. If you don't know exactly when you're going to contact me, when would be the appropriate time for me to circle back with you if I haven't heard by? Kind of thing. Okay, so now, then I would say to you, the appropriate day to follow up depends on that answer. Now, let's assume you just heard me say that for the first time. If you all are in an interview and you get some kind of indication, okay, so you weren't super aggressive in getting that insight, and you're like Christina and they say, we should hear from you next week. Now, she said yesterday, while we're doing this live, I don't know when you're watching, it's Thursday. That means Wednesday. If they say you should hear from us by next week, here early next week, That means Monday, Tuesday is early next week. If I don't hear from them at all next week, I would wait till the following Monday. That gives them some grace period, right? Because they said you should hear from us within a week. So you want to give them the calendar week and then a couple of grace days, which then sends it into the following week. So to answer you, Christina, that's what I would do. I'd wait till the following Monday, which I believe, I don't know, what is it? September and 11, 12, 9. I would wait until the 12th. Good luck. Hope it goes well. Baby girl, what's up? Beth, how are you? Have 3 informational interviews tomorrow and HR screening next week, all from boss hunting and networking outreach. Awesome. Megan, Miss Celeste, hey, Yemi, what's up? It's 10 a.m. Okay, so you were mountain time. Carlos, Paul from North Dakota, Leon, Lewis, good to see you, and Stacy, and Joseph. And moving forward, that's Laura. How are you? Michael Moore from the Northeast. All right, Dave, Andy, how much and what type of information should go on a work reference sheet? Okay, I'm going to give you a quick one here. Dave, first thing, I have an entire video on your complete guide to reference checking. For any of you who want to understand everything that goes along with references, meaning what you do on the application, what you say in the initial screen, what happens along the way when they request references, when they should request them, what you should do when you get right before the offer, what you should do when you want to change the references. Every single thing you can imagine you need to know is in that video. But let me give you a quick one right now. All right, starting this clock, how much and what type of information should go on the work references sheet? Here's the name, here's their email, here's their phone number, best phone number to reach, whatever number they want you to contact them. Could be mobile, could be office, could be home, could be whatever, okay? And then here's who they are in relation to me, and if you want to, you can put this is what they do now. This is so-and-so works at such and such. He was my supervisor at, boom. She was my customer when I was at, boom. That's it. Those pieces of information. Name, email, phone number, relationship, and then if you want to put where they currently are, that's up to you. Cool? Cool. Kyle Williams, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, my man. Always love seeing you. Hambo in London, it's raining, which it often does, but you got interviews on Monday, so hopefully the sun will be shining that day for you. Kurt, how are you? Debbie? Oh, boot campers, love to see y'all. Barry, what's up? Cheesesteak capital of the world. I tell you, I did have some good cheesesteaks when I was in Philly. Hi, Christina in Qatar, 7 p.m. Thanks for spending the evening with me. Dominic Green. Tuning from County Donegal, Ireland. I believe I've been there. Been there? Beautiful, beautiful. St. Louis is home. Dewey, Aline, Justin, looking forward to getting with you. Mari Linda, boot camper of mine from hot Texas, Houston in particular. Dewey, Andy, I interviewed 5 people. Excuse me. But only 2 interviewers each time. How do I send a thank you email? All of them in one, or an email for each interviewer? Dewey, I happen to have a video on how this all breaks down on my YouTube channel, but I'm going to tell you. When you have an interview, I like to send individual emails, even if it's a panel. So worst case scenario, let's say you had all 5 at once, even though you didn't. If you had all 5 at once, each gets a unique email. Thank you. You could say, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciated meeting you. That could be the same for everybody. In the closing paragraph, you could say, after meeting you and the team, I'm more excited, blah, blah, blah. That could be the same. And then in the middle, you want to reinforce why you're the right candidate. And it would be best if that was unique to each person. Now, it could be unique to each person as it relates to what that person would care about or how you'd work together with them. So try to do that. That's best practice. Michael Moore, what's up? Is it true that us U.S. Americans are seen as rude and pushy? Yes. How do we compensate for that when engaging overseas? Don't be rude and pushy. Wait, I believe that's true. Wait, I didn't say we are pushy and rude. I'm saying I believe that stereotypically many countries view Americans that way. And I don't have feelings about it one way or another. I mean, that's, some people are going to think that and some people are not. But yes, that is true. And so when I'm interacting with somebody from another country, I just try to be as my jovial self all the time. And interestingly, I would say to you, 50% of my following on YouTube is outside the US. So half of the following or community members / subscribers, viewers is in the US and half is outside. So while I believe that might be true in some cases, I don't believe it's true in all cases, and I don't believe I'd have that kind of viewership if they found me to be rude and pushy. I try to be honest, straightforward, give it to you straight. I want to treat you like an adult, like you can handle it. I don't want to sugarcoat stuff. I want to give you the goods, right? Like, and if some people are going to say, Andy, I love you for that, and other people are going to say, Andy, I don't like you for that, and that's how I roll, and that's how you should roll. And I believe where you are professionally in your life and your demographic, that's, I hope, how you would approach that. Nancy Huff, how do? Hope you liked my little resume video for you. Deb, wore my Princeton, New Jersey shirt the other day. Denisha, how are ya? Good to see you recently. Jennifer from Florida, newcomer, great to have you. Can we give Jennifer a big hug? All right. Dorito C, interviewed for perm. I'm assuming interviewed for the perm role and offered an internship. Passed first for KYC role and second, boy, this is a lot of, hold on. Third told me, I'm not sure what the question is. Third told me I was junior level and proposed internship, already 5 years in financial roles. So I'm gonna guess here what you're asking me. Why is that happening? So I'm not being funny and not trying to shortcut the answer. If this is happening and you're not being offered full-time roles, then it's one of two things, but likely the first. They just want to hire interns, or they want to hire people as an intern, or they want to hire people on a probationary basis. That's the company. If you are, and then the other reason could be, well, you're not scoring high enough in the interviews. However, I would argue if it was actually the latter, which because I believe that's to be less likely, then I believe that they just wouldn't offer you anything. So I'm going to go with it's more likely them, not you. I'm going to guess that based on 200 characters. And I would keep reaching out to other organizations, and it only takes one, right? And you hear me say feed the funnel, and what do I mean by that? And so, hey, I haven't pulled this out in a while, but those of you, actually, I even have a coffee mug on this. But this is the way, this is my marketing machine little card that I tried to use a number of years ago. I've got more mileage per show than this card. This is the life cycle you get in a job. You start by sending out your resume. I'm not talking about shoving it into an applicant trashing system. Boss hunting, teammate hunting, HR hunting, recruiter hunting, networking, anything that can send out something to somebody who can help you get a job, meaning I can move you along and introduce you, or I could bring you on my team, or whatever. 90% of your time should be initial reach outs. 90% initial reach outs. And then 1% should be back and forth in, okay, yep, I'll be there on Tuesday. Okay, yeah, send me the Zoom link. That's it. But a lot of you spend an agonizing amount of time here because you're like, well, I should follow up. I got to follow up again. Hey, is anybody out there? Kind of thing. And then some time prepping for the interviews. So then 9% between interview prep, counter offering, and taking the job. So Dorito C, in your case, get back up here. and learn what take into account what you learned here. What did you learn? If truly, I wish I could see these, because then I could tell you it's them, not you. But let's say those weren't the right ones for me. I learned that company wasn't hiring for full time, and just move on. Honestly, that's what I would do. Mutant, this video should have lasted 30 seconds. Now, I'm going to get, when we cut this up, which you'll see it in like a month or 6 weeks, and we put this back on the YouTube channel, I will get no less than dozens and dozens of comments about why that video was 30 minutes, but why it only should have been 30 seconds. As if Usain Bolt, when he ran 9.58 seconds for 100 meters, only trained for 9.58 seconds, right? He ate, he slept, he meditated, he ran long, he ran short, he got treatment, he did this, he did that, and every single thing in his life was centered around 10 seconds or 9 point something seconds, right? You need to make sure how much you need to prep to kill those first 30 seconds. That's why it was 30 minutes. So, oh, I love it. I laugh at those comments. I really do. And I usually respond the way I just responded. Andy, Dewey, what's up? I received an email addressed. I received the email address of the interviewers 7 days after the interview. Do I still need to send a thank you email? If so, what is the context? Yes, you need to. And if you sent it 7 days, I would actually say to them, thank you so much for your time, blah, blah, blah. I would have reached out sooner, but I only got your email from the recruiter yesterday, so I wanted to send this right away, and then continue on. I actually would say that. I actually would say, make some reference to that. Matina, when you're new in the company, how to gain trust and take over tasks I should do and better without being too pushy and opinionated. Matina, since it's you and I know you have it, go to the Career Accelerator program, watch the first 90 days, and then watch how to prepare for and execute on your promotion. Watch those two right away, like now. And meaning you just started, go watch those, start doing that, and that's your answer. Todd, what's up? Crescent, Vale, Andrew is a genius. Thank you. Connected, totally. If you guys are loving this, we're another 27 minutes in because we're coming up on the hour. Smash the like button. Let's go for 100. What do we got right now? 90 something? I love it. YouTube loves it. It matters. It does. And I'm so glad anybody who's still listening to me watched me for an hour, not just 30 seconds. Word Dog Toronto, when I was working retail, I had a knack for generating stories from customers just by mentioning stuff like, I love your haircut. You just need to be sincere. Where did you get it done? Little things do mean a lot. They do. However, I probably should have prefaced this. Wait, and I love that. I love that as a great mention here. Everything that I want you to do, I want you to be sincere. And I genuinely believe, I do believe this in my, down to every fiber of my being, that all of you genuinely want to be genuine, right? You do. And then it's just, I wouldn't have thought to say, but you're the person who's best equipped to answer that. But you would have, had you thought of that, you would have done that. Can I get a hey in the chat? You follow me? Like, I'm not talking about, go be fake. Good God, no. I'm saying that's in you. I know that's in you. I'm here to bring it out of you, right? And put it to the forefront of your mind. Most of the things that I share with you are probably common sense, and you say so after I say them, right? I'm here to make sure that your common sense comes right up to the top, and your sincerity comes right up to the top, and that does help. And I would not tell somebody I like their haircut if I didn't like their haircut, kind of thing. But if I did, I would. Aylin, this one you can get on Amazon too. No one cares. Work harder. Does anybody care that I was up at 3:59 this morning? No one cares. You care I show up at 11. right? Cynthia Kane, what's up from Kentucky? A lean blue collar opening in target company with app via ATS. Should I modify my resume and apply to it to try to get my foot in the door? Or should I try to boss hunt a better position? I would love for everybody, not just you, Aline, to target what you want and go the best route. So if you're the better, wait, let's be really clear about what I'm saying. If you are qualified for a better position, you go for the better position. If you just want a better position, but you're not qualified for it, then having the aspiration I'm good with, except the route you take to get there you might need to take a step or two, right? Kind of thing. In which case you're targeting a better position that gets you on the path of where you want to go. Now, you'll say, well, Andy, you said we join a company, we don't join a job. That's true. And I want you to get in the company because you have a better propensity to get toward what you want. And great companies know how to elevate their people. But if you are not a blue-collar worker and you are a white-collar worker and you're applying for a blue-collar position, which could be, and in blue-collar, I don't know if you mean, hey, I'm stocking the shelves, which is not super bad, or I'm welding, right, kind of thing. Those are different. And so I want you to be smart about what you target, and then the better route for a white-collar position is going to be boss hunting. That's a statistic, not my opinion. I teach it, obviously, but that's just a statistical fact based on the data I gather. And I'm thinking most of you would agree, at least those that have tried it. Debbie, how do you provide feedback to the HR person in writing about the interview? I would never provide feedback to the HR person in writing on in the interview. So my answer to you is don't. I'm going to take that at face value. There is no reason any of you should be providing interview into a company at all, ever. If you want to explain to them why you turned down an offer or why you're rejecting yourself from the process, make it about you, not them. I'm interested in. I'm not, right? Like imply I'm not seeing it here. I'm more suited for an environment that, something like that. I would not give them anything in writing. Remember this. Any paper trail you leave lives beyond the people you sent it to. Everybody, can I get a hey in the chat? Do you understand what I mean? If I interview at companies and I don't like the people and I move on, and 2 years later, I want to go back and interview because I notice my buddy is working there and he loves it. And, his sister works there and she loves it. And the HR person's gone and the knucklehead who interviewed me is gone. And I want to get back in there. And I send in my message and the new HR person looks and says, well, that Debbie, she sent this email here. This doesn't look good. Right? Like, don't send anything in writing. Ever. Ever. Joshua, my questions are typically answered during the chat. Then at the end, I look unprepared. When you say your questions, I'm assuming you mean the interview. And there is absolutely no way your questions should be answered in the interview. Meaning, number one, the inventory that you have to evaluate that company, you should never, literally never. I want to use the word never because I try to be careful about using the words never and always. You should never run out of questions. You should always take a job and not have all your questions answered. Now, the ones you don't have answered, I'm okay with you if you're okay that you don't have the answers because it would be gravy to know, right? So you should never run out. And if they've answered something that was important to you, then that's an opportunity for you to then take that down to the next level. I know you mentioned this. I want to talk more about that. I'd be interested in knowing, let's take it down a notch, kind of thing. So keep that in mind. Actually, Valeria, would you refer to the link to the reservation question video? Okay, so folks, I want to say this, and Valeria, we love you, and you're a boot camper and an all-around awesome person, and you are on the interview intervention book team with your husband. I will never forget that, and all the wonderful pictures you guys took of my book with you and wherever you were in the world. I think both of you reading it in the lounge chairs. All y'all, if ever you're looking for anybody who's not in my job search boot camp, my job search coaching program, if you're looking for anything, go to Google. Well, I'm not being funny. Go to Google, type LaCivita, and then anything you want. LaCivita reservation, LaCivita subject line, LaCivita how to ask questions, LaCivita resume 5 seconds. All that stuff will be in Google, and it will come right up to the top. Actually, most of the time, just type what you're looking for without my name, and I will have something that comes on the front page. So definitely do that, because I know a lot of people look for something. They even ask me on YouTube, hey, do you have this or that? Anything you need, just go to Google or go to YouTube, and it'll be there. RG. Twice now had hiring managers not engage in the reservation question. Found this out after in the feedback from HR. Is there a way to phrase this to trigger a truthful response? Number one, I would let you know, first things first, 95% of people will actually engage if asked a direct question. If nothing comes to mind at that moment, it doesn't mean they're not engaging. It just means I don't have any or I can't think of any. Now that could happen, all right? Most people are not going to be super worried about that one. They'll give it to you straight. If you feel like they're being evasive, then that's fine. Then they're being evasive and they're just not telling you. I don't want to under or overemphasize the question itself. The question itself is designed to give you an extra layer of protection to avoid miscommunications. That is the reason the question is being asked. That's all. Meaning what I said, communications in an interview comes in several forms, but generally 3. They misunderstood something you said, in which case you can clarify it. They had a gap and made an assumption because they didn't get a line of questioning and assumed you didn't have a skill that you do, in which case you can fill it in, or there is a reservation. If they're not willing to be truthful, that's not on you, it's them. And just because this happened, you said 2 times, that's not a pattern. It's 2 times. And so and I love this question because you all have to also recognize that you have such limited vision of the field, right? Number one, you only see what you see. You only change jobs so often, which is not often. If you change jobs once a year, that's still not often, even though it looks terrible, right? For all those you worried about being a job hopper. If you change jobs every few years or every 5 years and you have a couple of bumps in a search, most of the time that's randomness. It's not a pattern. So just because something happens once or twice or 3 times doesn't make it a pattern. And I would say, I don't know that so the reason that the question is designed the way it is because you want to close them in on the negative. It's the one time I want you to go negative with your question. If you soften it and say something like, hey, this is great. Is there anything else I can provide you? No. Hey, this is great. I can really see myself working here. Could you see me working here? Yeah, I could see you working here, but I could not see you working here, kind of thing. And so you don't want them to be able to escape. Now, if they just were evasive, then they were just evasive and then move on. But that's not your problem. Wait, it's not your problem and that's not a problem. So it's not your specific problem and it's not a problem in general. That's the way I look at that. A lean opening with app via ATS, it requires microbiology testing that I know how to do, but have very little experience with it, not enough to write a magical bullet. How do I put it in my resume? Put in what you have. Don't overthink this. Put in what you got, go, and remember, it's an ATS, which really decreases your chances anyway, even if you had the magical bullet. 360 Life people, you are welcome. Christina, you always deliver on promise. I try to. I really do. I would rather deliver on my promise to one person than have 1 million people click on the video. Zipping through. Hey, all y'all, remember, I know I put a mini plug of this in the package. We're still rolling with this. $7. You get the hardbound sent anywhere. The ebook alone on Amazon's $9. And for $7, I'll send you the ebook, the audiobook, the hardcover, and then a couple of other great ebooks. One is another one is How to Interview the Employer: 75 Great Questions to Ask Before You Take Any Job, which is really cool. So you'll, I think a few of you mentioned, you're running out of questions. You will never run out of questions. Thomas Matthew, how are you from India? Erwin, what's up? Andy and everyone, glad I caught up on the stream. So HR called me recently and we talked about the interview, but he cuts the phone call because he needs to take another call. Is this bad? Well, number one, I don't know the whole story. And right now, if that phone rings, I'm going to have to hang up on you guys. So there could be any number of reasons why I've got to go because of the phone. So I don't want to say yes or no, and I don't want you to worry unnecessarily. Generally, no, I don't like the phone to be ringing. And every time I get on a call, every time I get on a Zoom session where I'm doing a coaching session with somebody, just like an interview, right? I put my phone on silent. I put do not disturb. My phone's on do not disturb most times, but right now it needs to be not on do not disturb kind of thing. So it could happen. Justin, you my boot camper for sure. Related to that question, what's your take on pausing, asking for a moment to collect your thoughts? So I don't have a problem with silence if it's brief. And I don't like, hang on, let me think about that for a second, unless it is a total out of left field, out of the stadium, more so than left field kind of question. So I like to be fast on my feet. I really do. So I don't love it. I try to avoid it. Amy Willoughby, yes, we harmonized with the whole you will never be able to unsee me a couple of weeks ago. Finish, how to find out if the interviewer are just trying to sell his product and if the job is actually a fake. I like to believe that jobs are not fake. I genuinely believe that. And anybody who is telling you that there are many, many scams is only trying to get you to watch their video. They really are. They're not. Companies are not. They're not trying to do that. They're really not. I'm not going to say never, but generally speaking, and the likelihood you would find it is very low. Faisal, how are you? What is reasonable? What is a reasonable time to follow up on an interview? I'm going to go back to Christina Lambert's question. I had an interview with a hiring manager last Thursday. Love the position. I can't wait to hear. You can always wait to hear. Can I say? I want to say something. Okay, so Faisal, I'm going to go back to what I said to Christina. So I answered it earlier. All right. Guys, got to hear this. I almost stopped after a run to shoot this, but I got sidetracked by something very important that I needed to attend to. And I almost shot this for you last week. All right, all you listen to me. Just 1 minute here. That job you think is your dream job that you are so upset that you did not get, I got news for you. It wasn't your dream job. It was a figment of your imagination, right? If it was your dream job, you would have not only gotten it, you'd have stayed there a year, you'd have been able to look back at your whole year, and you would love absolutely every single thing about your job, so much so that you would say, damn, that's my dream job, man, I'm never leaving this place. And until that happens, it wasn't your dream job. It was what I knew about this job. I would have really liked it if I would have gotten it. It's nothing more than that. And y'all agonize and stress and beat yourself up and question your awesomeness when you shouldn't be. There's any number of zillions of reasons of why somebody didn't hire you or didn't get back to you or flaked out or whatever. So no matter what, remember that. Faisal, I'm telling you, it'll come if it's right for you. They'll get back to you if it's right for you. Christina, it will get back to you if it's right for you. Welcome to Be Happy. So on that happy note, welcome to Be Happy. Hey, Andy, I got connected with an executive recruiter from a European agency I don't know if that's LinkedIn. He asked to send resume, fill in their doc for database, and set up a video call to discuss my goals. Is that normal practice? For some agencies it is, and I have no problem with send me your resume, fill in the doc, and I'm going to set you up for a call. That's okay. Everybody's got slightly different practices. You are welcome. Gilles, you're welcome. Aylin, you are welcome. M. Foreman. What if the interviewer's so dry and impersonal and just make you say yuck, and recruiter says that they helped join them in the last year, love them? Wait. They helped join them in the last year, love them. I don't know based on what they showed me. So I think what you're saying is you talked to the recruiter said they really love this interviewer who recently joined them within the last year, and the recruiter is really fond of the interviewer, and then you get in and your interpretation is that person, he, she, they, or whoever they are is a wet mop. If I understood you correctly. So I am going to refer you a little joke here. I once was trying to book an airline ticket, and it was a complicated multi-stop thing. And before, COVID and all this other stuff where, you used to pick up the phone, make your reservations, and this United Airlines customer service agent was a total wet mop. And I finally said, you know what, I'm in the middle of something. I'm going to hang up. Let me revisit this. I hung up, I picked the phone up, I dialed again, I got a different customer service agent who not only was able to get me the route within a couple minutes, but it was for like half the cost of what the other person was going to do. And I said to the woman, I just called a few minutes ago and then I got interrupted, and so I called back. And why is it, and the woman didn't seem overly eager to help me, but why is it that you were able to find this route that quickly for that amount? And she said, Mr. LaCivita, when you call somebody and they don't sound like they're smiling on the other end of the phone, hang up. And that's what I would do. Now, I'm saying to you, that is just an indicator. Now, if this was the first interview you had, if that's the first interview you had after the recruiter, I'd let it slide if they move you forward. I would try to de-ice the interviewer with all my love and charm. Okay, but there's only so much you can do, and if that person's having a bad life, they're having a bad life. Now, if you go on to the next interview, and the interviewer's a wet mop, now that's two inside the company. Now, don't get me wrong, I just got done talking about random and not random and so on. Now we're getting representatives from an organization, and this company is putting these people in front of you. Now, I would say to you that a company recruitment process should be the best it ever is. Like, you should be falling all over each other, right? Like how awesome we are and we're in love, right? It's perfect. You're perfect. I'm perfect, right? We love each other. And then you get in and you find all the warts, right? Kind of thing. But if that's what they're sending in front of you, what does that say about them? Red flag, red flag. So hope my United story drove home. RG, thank you about the dream job not being my dream. Dead on. RG, I speak the truth. It's true. It wasn't. RG, and you have access to this. If you have not seen Tracy's case study, go into the bootcamp product, go and find Tracy's case study on changing careers. And I want you to listen to what Tracy said. And for all those of you that don't have access to Tracy's video, I'm going to tell you. And Tracy and I did a debrief. It's about 35 minutes of her going from yoga instructor and fitness instructor and dancer to financial data analyst in an ESG company in 8 weeks, and how she did that. And one of the things she said was when she started talking to people, and I got the sense that they said, you know, I don't really get your background. I don't really see the fit. Bang, I'm out of here. I'm not going to talk to anybody who doesn't get me, doesn't see me, or isn't willing to, right? My expression, right? You'll know how much somebody loves you based on how long they're willing to listen to something you say that they completely disagree with, right? These are indicators, and you all beat yourself up about them. There's nothing wrong with you. I mean, yeah, you could get better at marketing you could get better at explaining yourself and all those other things, but, you know, but RG, you should go watch that. You should go watch that. Amy will be dead on too. Faisal, wait him out, man. Be water. Be water. Cherry, you know, sometimes I get a little preachy. I get that. I'm self-aware enough to know that. Christina, you're welcome. Moving forward. Laura, what's up? Laugh out loud. This dream job wisdom is exactly what I needed to... I came in, I'm sweating. I had no shirt on. I just had my little heart strap monitor. I'm looking around. My wife's standing there. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, hey, I got to shoot this video. She's like, no, I need you over here for something. It's okay. So, you know, my wife went out. But you got my dream job story, or hopefully that was under a minute so we could put it on the YouTube short. Just Stacy, make a note of that. Get me down to 59 seconds. All right, what's up? Case. Hi, how concerned should I be about fully filling out an application if they've already reviewed my resume and had an over-the-phone interview? Great question. Great question. We don't get this a lot, but this is a common practice. So for those of you that think Case is like, what? No. A lot of times what happens when you boss hunt or you get networked in, or maybe you email a recruiter, they say, this is great, let's talk to you. They say, hey, by the way, for legality purposes, before we can hire you, can you fill out that application? So what I would do is so then you're filling out the application after you've already had an interview or two, or maybe you've already gotten the interview and you haven't had it yet, meaning you've scheduled it, but you haven't filled out your app. So Case, what I would do, I would just say, fill it out as best you can, pretend like you don't have the interview yet, fill in everything as you can, and that's it. Don't worry about it. They just want it for documentation purposes. They're not screening you out because of it. Great question. Great question. We don't get that one a lot. Doug, what's happening, buddy? Negotiating offer now. Company pushing lower salary and more equity. Any correct way to push for less equity, more salary without conveying lack of confidence in future performance? Doug Milligan, because you're a boot camper, I'm sending you right to the advanced negotiation tactics session in the boot camp. It is the instruction I gave you with the case study from me and Joe, right? Joe, one of the boot campers, where we walked through having to set this up. Same exact scenario for you. You can substitute equity for bonus for whatever, meaning any of you that have, and it doesn't even matter, even if you're just trying to counteroffer a salary that you don't love. And the best way to make that argument, Doug, after you fill all that in, is there's a balance between, okay, I'm not asking you to give me all the money, but can we spread the cash comp, the cash part of the comp, over the salary, bonuses, and whatever? And if I meet certain goals, you give me more cash and you give me more equity. Now, so hold on, let me add this. And I would go in and I would make that argument. Now, the more senior you are, the more you need to be willing to bet on you as part of the management team, right? Because the best companies want their management team all focusing on the same goals that are all rewarded in a similar fashion when it comes to equity. So that's part of it. And then you have to look at, is the amount of equity in relation to the cash, meaning are they asking for such low cash because, oh, Doug, you're going to be a bajillionaire in 3 years. That's a bunch of bunk. Okay, so you got to go in thinking, if we hit the home run, yay. If we hit a base hit, I'm cool with that. And if we strike out, while I don't love that, I'm still okay. Like, that's your barometer. So that's how I would look at that. Finish. My interviewer interrupted the interview and took two phone calls, so interview slot was short. Is it a bad sign? We don't know until they come back and say, we're moving you on to the next round, or sorry, we'll see you later. I really don't know. I don't love that. I really don't. I mean, I don't love when interviewers do that, but it doesn't, there could be any one of a million reasons that they do that. Stephen, I salute you, Lord. Oh, God. You guys. Get it, Andy. Get it. You right. Philippe, how do I give my 2 weeks notice? Can I invite my boss to a coffee and give him the news? Yes. So, a couple things. Number one, full-fledged video on the YouTube channel, 8 steps to quit the right way. Quit your job the right way. It's everything in full. Now, the 2 weeks part. For all of you, we all live in different locations. We all work in different countries, on different continents. We all work for different kinds of organizations. We all sign different employment agreements. So when I say 2 weeks in my video and through the live shows, what I generally mean is if there's no written indication of what you had agreed to before you started working and anything you need to adhere to, then 2 weeks is usually customary and accepted in the US for knowledge transfer. Now, a lot of you are going to say, "Well, employers are mean to me and I don't owe them anything," and all that's true. That's right. That's true. And you could drop your resignation letter and walk out the door, except I have to impress upon you that you resigned for you, not them. And you know what isn't out of style, outdated, or unaccepted ever? The fact that they can say whatever they want if somebody does a reference check. Guess what? Last week, a woman who used to work with me between 2009 and 10 and 11, they called me and did a reference check on her. One of the questions they asked me was, why did she leave, and did she leave on good terms? Do you know what I could have done, right, at that time? If she dropped the resignation, left, and said, "Andy, you're mean to me, I'm out of here," I would have said, "No, she dropped the resignation, she left one day. Do you want to hire somebody that did that?" And I would not be lying, right? And that lives on forever in their HR database with the notes that say that person was a jerk, right? That didn't give us any notice. And while we were bummed he left, he didn't even bother to give us any kind of courtesy. So you resigned for you, not them. I mean, I laugh when people put that stuff on my YouTube. Just like, are you not a human? I understand you're mad, but you're protecting you. You're protecting you. And why not go out with some class? Now, can you invite your boss to coffee? Sure. What kind of relationship do you have with your boss? If you would normally have coffee, then yeah. If you would never have coffee and you say, "I'd like to take you to coffee," I'd be like, "Hey, what's up?" So just be ready. Just be ready. It is okay to do that. Go, Felipe, go watch the video. Go watch the video. And all y'all, don't drop and run. Don't do that. This looks like a good question. Got a job offer at company, offer letter states contingent on background check. Very normal. Very normal. That's routine. Company pressuring me to resign with my employer before the background check is complete. What is customary? HR was rude about it. Okay. Don't know what level you are, because that matters. And I don't know if there's anything in your life that could come back and haunt you. Okay? If there is, and you want to be comfortable that nothing is a red flag for the hiring company, then wait it out. Now, what's customary? We have placed, as recruiters, over 600 people, meaning 94% of the 600 had to go through, they had to obviously go through a resigning and all this other stuff. Actually, it might even have been a higher percentage. So that means that they had to quit their job, meaning they had to resign. So in every case, we waited out the background check until it was free and clear. The HR person doesn't like it, then hurry the heck up and get your background company or process or system or people who are making the phone calls to do them faster if you want me here faster. Once the background check is done, then I can give them 2 weeks notice so the clock is running. That's what I would say. Now, if it was me, ain't nothing coming back on my background check that is going to worry me. So, it's kind of a, give and take. So if it's free and clear, then don't worry about it. And then there's a balance. All right, let me see if I can get one more of these in. Word Dog Toronto just had to apply for a job via ATS. The desired salary field only offered a list of ranges. So I clicked my ideal. Would it have been better to just click minimum suggested? Actually, Word Dog Toronto, my recommendation would be to kind of pick something that is near about what you're earning so that it's a reasonable number and you're not overshooting and hopefully not undershooting. And I wouldn't be overly concerned. I wouldn't be concerned if you pick 75 or 100 or whatever. I mean, generally, they don't pay attention, and recruiters don't pay attention to what you put in the application. Then they want to ask you when you get into the process. And when you get into the process, even if you go against everything that I ever recommend and you actually give them a number up front, you're going to change it down the road. So that's my view there. All right, listen, folks, I got to run. It's 12:30. I hope you enjoyed all this. 30 minutes of teaching, an hour of Q&A. Sounds like a good day. Hope you enjoyed that instruction. Hope you enjoyed all those little impressive tips. If you did, click the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. I hope you share this. For anybody on my team Apollo, see you tomorrow. Anybody in my leadership program, we're talking self-awareness on the 16th. It might be my finest hour. It is certainly the longest workbook you're going to get. We're breaking it down. We're going deep. And so if you're interested in that leadership program, let us know. It's a few different options, but no matter who you are, have a great weekend. Lots of luck on your job search. You know I love you, and hopefully I'll see you next Thursday. I'll definitely see you Tuesday in your inbox. But my schedule's a little up in the air these days, and but I'm always thinking of you, always sending you good vibes. I hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.